guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is the top 10 curiosity decks. So I'm really excited to do this. I am not feeling the greatest physically today. It's one of those days. I have chronic illnesses and things like that, and I just wanted to lay in bed all day, but I thought I would get up and do something instead of feeling sorry for myself all day. And I saw Candy, Soul, and Soil's video, top 10 curiosity decks, and I am so in love with this idea. And then I saw Meg at Rose Honey Ritual do it as well, and I wanted to do it so bad. So the premise of this tag is to show like your weird decks that would fit into like a curiosity cabinet. And I personally want a curiosity cabinet so bad. Like that is a goal I have. I've been looking at weird, like obscure things. Like I found this Etsy shop that sells really strange things, and I've been kind of saving those items in a wish list so I can pick them up eventually. And there's one that's like it's like coins that people used to wear on their eyes when they passed away. Like they would put them on your eyelids. So yeah, that stuff fascinates me so much. So that's the premise of the tag. Now, I don't have a lot of obscure decks or decks that are not well known. Most of these you guys have probably seen already. So my idea for like this kind of curiosity cabinet of oddities is like weird bones and specimens and vintage items that are just strange, old, like an old Ouija board, old like occult items. Like that's kind of the idea I'm going with these, because they're not super obscure, I guess, but they are. I do feel like they would fit into a curiosity cabinet because they're strange and they are kind of like oddities, I guess. I have a few Halloween decks in here because I love vintage Halloween decorations that are just so creepy, and so that would be in a curiosity cabinet. So yeah, let's just get started and we'll talk more about why I chose it as we go through the deck. So the first one I have here is the Memento Mori. And I thought this one fit the idea the most. I mean, it's literally like bones and strange things. Like, I imagine my curiosity cabinet with like specimens in jars and things like that, right? Coins. Weren't we talking about the coins? That's funny. I love the idea of having like old divination items in a curiosity cabinet. Like, I think there's a Ouija board in here. Like old funeral signs or like grave etchings. Like, I don't know. I love that idea. Old potion bottles. I do have a collection of potion bottles, and so that would be in my cabinet as well. Palmistry, I have another deck that kind of pertains to that as well. Old like voodoo dolls and things like that. Okay, literally the last card. But I want a collection of vintage Ouija boards so bad. I need to start searching. Alright, so that's the Memento Mori deck that I feel like fits into that category perfectly. Next up, we have the Embroidered Graveyard. Kind of the same deal. Like, I think, like, I would want kind of morbid things in there. And this feels creepy, morbid, but also like it has a vintage vibe. Like, I like that it's embroidered art, right? Like, imagine finding a vintage embroidery that's like really creepy. I don't know. That just, that gives me curiosity vibes. And obviously the bones and skulls and paranormal stuff. That's another thing. I would want my curiosity cabinet to have like paranormal paraphernalia in it, like vintage ghost hunting equipment and things like that. I'm sorry if the lighting and everything's a little bit weird. I have a different angle today. It's just creepy and so good and perfect for my cabinet of curiosities. Okay, next up, this is just a palmistry deck that I have. Okay, I'm sorry if my angle just changed. My camera setup today is just not working out. But anyway, it came with a book, and so it basically just helps you study palmistry. And I don't know, I just feel like I love vintage posters or vintage kind of, I don't know, things that are trying to teach you stuff, like vintage astrology books or vintage palmistry stuff. Like, it just, I love that. And while this isn't vintage by any means, I feel like this would fit into something I would want in like an occult kind of themed curiosity cabinet, like vintage palmistry hand or palm reading stuff. So I don't know, vintage fortune tellery stuff. I love that. So that is I don't know the name of this. I think it's just like palm reading. The book's just palm reading. Let me see. The Modern Palm Reader is the name of the book. Yeah. Okay, next up, this is the Wizard's Tarot. This is just a weird deck. To me, it doesn't follow tarot the way that I read it. But it's just weird. It reminds me of Adventure Time, like a really dark version of Adventure Time. And it's just creepy and weird, which is right up my alley. But I feel like it's kind of an oddity in my collection because I don't use it for a tarot deck purpose. I mean, eventually I might. Like Curses. Curses is cups. So we have 7 of cups here, and it looks like they're playing a game. Are they playing D&D or something? Like what? I don't know. It just, I don't necessarily associate the meanings to my personal tarot ideas, I guess. So that's where I have an issue with it. 7 of Swords. I mean, I guess you can get that out of that. 10 of Cups. Right? Is that Cups? It's Curses. Curses as Cups, yeah. I mean, that is not a 10 of Cups at all. The way I read it. 5 of Coals. 5 of Pentacles. I mean, kinda, yeah. 10 of Wands. I don't know. The creator also didn't write a book for this, so I don't have a way to, like, see what he was imagining when he did the card. So, yeah. But the reason I chose it for this is because the artwork is very curious and weird and strange, and I like looking at it. You can get kind of lost in it. I don't know. I might end up modifying this deck and making it just like a weird oracle deck. Right? Because like this, I mean, I feel like I can get the feeling of being alone from this card. I feel like there's a lot, if you ignore this, there's a lot in the artwork that can draw you in. So, I mean, that's a good Two of Swords. I like that. So, I don't know. I'll update you guys, but I enjoy having this deck in my collection because it's weird and creepy, and it's my cup of tea. So, that is the Wizard's Tarot. Okay, next up I have two. These to me seem like obscure decks in my collection. So let's talk about this one first. This is the Atlantis Cards by Diana Cooper. The way that the box is set up is just weird in itself. Like, it has like this little kickstand type thing, and you set it up and you put the card in there, like your card of the day, I guess. This isn't really a deck I got to use, but I got it as more of like an item to have, an item to collect, because it's so strange and it feels like this weird like relic kind of. I mean, I have a fascination with Atlantis, right? But this deck is just so like out there. And I mean, sometimes I want that kind of a vibe where it just seems like so weird, right? And it has this like really weird computerized kind of art that reminds me of like the Barbie movies. Which is another reason it's like weirdly comforting to me in that way. Like birth crystals. I'm just gonna read this to you because it's weird. When babies were born in the Golden Age, crystals from their home planet materialized beside them, because all humans go through the veil of amnesia on incarnation. People were unable to remember their stellar origins. However, when they held their birth crystals, they made an unconscious connection with home and felt a sense of peace and comfort that helped them during their time on Earth. If you draw this card, you are guided to strengthen your connection with home, which may mean meditating on your stellar origins. Alternatively, it may suggest that you explore your background and ancestral heritage. You may even need to put down more roots to enhance your feeling of belonging, which you can do by meeting new people, deepening friendships, or developing interests locally. So, I mean, there's some practical advice on there, but it just, I don't know, like, it's interesting. Like, do I want to believe that we have these crazy, like, birth crystals? Yes, but I don't know. In my fantasy world, I believe that, but I don't know. It's just weird, and I love it. And it feels like an oddity to me because it's just strange and, like, different, and it feels old. And I mean, it is old. It's from, like, the early 2000s, right? So it's older. And yeah, I enjoy having these in my collection because they're just so different than anything I have. And the other one I have that's similar, this is the Unicorn Cards, again by Diana Cooper. Has that weird kickstand thing again, and yeah, this is the same kind of deal. Like, it's my one unicorn deck that I've kept. I don't like the Archangel cards, but something about like the weird computerized art, it just is like comforting to me. I don't know, but I definitely feel like it's very odd, and that's why I was drawn to it, because it's like strange. This one's like more normal, I guess, than the Atlantis one. Like, it just says listening, listen, and the answer will be revealed. Like, okay, soul satisfaction, aim for that which makes your soul rejoice. Divine sight, see the divine in everyone. Like, it's just like a basic oracle, I guess, but it has a strange vibe to it. So, Unicorn Cards by Diana Cooper. Alright, Southern Gothic Oracle. I picked this one because I feel like the artwork is something you would find in like a vintage, like, botanical book or like southern kind of book. I mean, look at that. like something you might find in like Southern medicine or like Southern witchcraft, kind of it has a vintage feel to it. This same author did create a Southern botanical oracle, but this one does have some botanical things to it. It also has creepy aspects because I bought the Haunts expansion pack. So we have things like Hellhound and the Conjured Spirit. Like, it just feels like the artwork kind of does feel like vintage paintings. Candlelight Spirit. I don't know, I love the idea of like Southern kind of oddities as well. This gives me like New Orleans kind of vibes, but I also live in the Southwest, so it gives me home vibes as well. The Bell Witch, the Bayou, you know. I just feel like some of these might be things you find in like a vintage like nature book. So love this deck. And like the bone on the back, the wishbone on the back, yes. All right, 3 left. So I have the Santa Muerte Tarot. This is in here for the same reason as Memento Mori and the Embroidered Graveyard. It just has a lot of bones and like skeletons. And it gives me that oddity, curiosity kind of feeling. Just strange and creepy. I don't know, when I think of like the vibe that I want someone to have when they come into my home is for them to be kind of creeped out, like, not gonna lie. Like, I want my home to feel cozy and things like that, but I want there to be certain like decor pieces or certain things hanging on the wall that when you get closer you're kind of like, what the heck is that? That's just me. And I talked about how this deck gives me summer vibes. It gives me like summer in a graveyard, just chilling. Like, I love that. But this deck, I'm gonna have to do a deep dive with it because it confuses me, and I'll have to kind of write down what resonates for me in the meaning of the card, and I'm okay with doing that with this one because it feels so special to me. But yeah, definitely a curious deck. All right, the last 2 decks I have here fit into that Halloween, vintage Halloween vibe. This is the Jackolantern Tarot. Like, just imagine you're at an antique shop and you find this like vintage art that has like skeletons and pumpkins and stuff in it. Like, it just gives me that very strange vibe. And I've talked about when I first unboxed this deck, it gave me a very like uneasy sort of a feeling, which that's what I want when I'm looking at a cabinet of curiosities. I want an uneasy feeling. I want it to make me feel weird. Just the energy off of old items. But as I use this deck, it is a very practical, it works really good. It's just a regular RWS deck, but it brings a really creepy aspect. I mean, look. I love all the bones. There's lots of bones in this deck. Love it. So, Jack-o'-lantern. I have the Halloween Tarot. Just because this gives me vintage Halloween vibes, and I would love to have a vast collection of vintage Halloween decor. And it's just creepy. It reminds me, just because of like the aesthetic of it. It reminds me of like vintage Halloween. And when you look at really old Halloween costumes, they are like the stuff of nightmares, right? And I would love to have like creepy ghost photography and creepy Halloween costume photography in my cabinet of curiosities. So I don't know, this deck just brings me back to my childhood of like, you know there's something scary in the dark, but like it entices you. Maybe that's just me. But I love vintage spooky stuff, like, and this deck is kind of cutesy, right? But I feel like that makes it scarier, because like you're gonna want to talk to this ghost or talk to this demon. It's like drawing you in. I don't know, I just love like the cutesy kind of vibe of Halloween sometimes mixed with like horror. So yes, so that is my cabinet of curiosity decks, 10 of them. I kind of had a hard time picking these out, but once I kind of decided like what my theme was going to be or what I was going to go with, it was easier. I feel like I tried to explain why I picked these decks. Hopefully I did a good job. But yeah, this is the legit real life goal of mine, is to have weird curiosities all over my home to scare people. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll link Candy's video down below. I would love to see your decks. Let me know if you're doing this tag down below. I would love to watch them. And yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.